What do you think of the films Adulthood, Kidulthood and Anotherhood?
I think they're not really. I'm more into comedies, but there's a bit of dark humour in those. But they mostly depict actual social life, and that's pretty much mostly why I don't.
About a girl who's raped by her best friend's brother as an act of revenge, and then she gets pregnant and has to deal with that baby.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting, especially because her friend's brother as well. Yeah, but I don't watch that type of movies, but I think it's interesting.
What do you like about films in general? Like the music, the storyline, actors?
When it comes to music, it's got to be. I just like it when it gets louder towards the end, especially just to make it build up. I like the fact that it has to have Robert Downey Jr. in it and Scarlett Johansson if it's Iron Man. When it comes to camera work, it's got to have a lot of movement more. Well, I personally like the 360s. It's got to have a lot of pans. It can't be static all the time. And yeah, generally it's got to be a lot of variety of music and mixing all together.
I like storylines with a twist because then they keep me engaged.
What do you think of the films Adulthood, Kidulthood and Anotherhood?
I think they are terrible because I've seen the first two. I think they're terrible because they're British films that have no hybrid in them, and it just has a lot of themes that I just don't understand. And it's not even about understanding them, it's about when it comes to the themes, they're just so boring. British ones are boring.
Like soft music, or like, the music's got to say, for example, when she's being raped, to have maybe more upbeat music, and the lighting, because it's quite a dark subject, the lighting's got to be quite dark as well, just to set the mood.
Okay. What do you like about films, like generally the music, the camera, the editing?
Music definitely has a big part to play with it. There's a lot. You have to edit it well, otherwise you can get free boring shots. Cast is quite important. You have to have good actors and good staff, but the script as well, the story has to be quite interesting.
No, not really, but I feel like it doesn't represent society as a whole, and not everyone that's going to live like in a council estate or in an area where poverty is visible, that all people that are black. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, but it doesn't represent society as a whole.
Funny, but it was really serious as well. And then there's different elements that can relate to like us.
Does the idea of having three main black characters put you off the movie? It doesn't, because most of the time they are quite interesting films, but then it's like, it seems kind of biased, if you get me, like, when you think of black people, would you associate with them, like, and then it just sets that kind of idea, like you'd think, oh, it might be like kind of a bad film, but it's not, like automatically you think that. So I think you need like a variety, just so that people who aren't open-minded won't think so.
What do you like about films in general, like the music, the camera, the story?
Yeah, I actually like the music. Like if the music is really cool, like engaging, and it keeps me involved. Actors have to be good. If they're really terrible, then I won't watch it. And the storyline is very important as well. The story has to be important.
Interesting.
What kind of music do you like to see in films then?
Instrumentals, action movies, you have your violins, you have your drums, etc. But for something like drama?
British social realism.
Social realism, maybe something like a guitar or something like that.
Yeah. When you watch films like Adulthood, do you feel like you're represented well as a teenager?
I think they they sort of exaggerate some portions, but yeah.
Does the idea of having three main black actors put you off a movie?
Depends on the sub-characters. If there's a diversity in the sub-characters, then not so much. But if it's pretty much mostly just black people in the whole movie, it might be a bit off-putting.
Just in general, to make me enjoy the film, yeah, the music and the lighting and the angles got to be good, but the storyline and maybe the actual like dialogue is what I'd look at.
No, you don't normally see that in films like that. But if you're going to something different, it's good, unique.
But because it's based on a true story, does that interest you?
Yes, because then you gain your knowledge of what's going on in the world.
What do you think of the films Adulthood, Kidulthood and Anotherhood?
Well, the storyline's really interesting, and I like how they show the characters, and the music really relates to the storyline as well. However, I do think that the storyline isn't very. You can't be generalised for the rest of the youth in England, and it's like not everyone is like that, so it doesn't really show like a fair thing of them.
Okay. Do you like the idea of a story about a girl who's raped by her best friend's brother and she gets pregnant?
It is interesting again, but it is quite a sensitive subject, and it will have to be like you have to make sure that you show it in the right way. Like it could come across really disturbing.